This is the 2024 Audi Q8 TFSI Quattro. Price as you see it here, over $100,000. But is it worth it? We're going to check out all the features, take it for a drive, and then put it to the test. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. Earlier this year, we tested the new Audi Q8 e-tron. It was all electric and quite expensive. Well, now it's time to take a look at the petrol-powered Q8. And even though they have very similar names, this is actually an entirely different car. For 2024, Audi's popular two-row people mover does get a mid-cycle refresh, updating exterior and interior, as well as including extra safety gear as standard equipment, to make this Q8 more competitive in a crowded market. One thing that hasn't changed is the powertrain. Under the hood is a 3-liter turbo V6 that produces a peak 335 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. This is attached to an Tiptronic 8-speed automatic transmission. It also powers all 4 wheels using Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive system, which is standard on the Q8. EPA rates economy at 17 miles to the gallon in town and 23 on the highway. Before we get into all the details, let's talk about pricing, because our tester here is loaded with optional packages. The base price of a Q8 is $73,700 US. But here comes the parade of options. The Prestige package adds massaging seats, dual pane acoustic glass, heads-up display, LED accent lighting, a wireless charging pad, and a lot more. That is $8,100. Bang & Olufsen 3D sound system, another $5,000. The luxury package, which upgrades the interior seats and the headliner, $3,700. The black optic package, which upgrades the standard 21-inch wheels to these 22-inch 5 double-arm design, wrapped in all-season tires and blacked out badges and trim, $2,550. Night vision, $2,500. 4-wheel steering, $1,500. Trailer hitch, which is good for up to 7,700 pounds, another $750. And finally, the S-Line Looks package, yet another $750. And that brings the total to $100,034 US, including destination. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Of course, you don't really need to get every single option, but if you wanted to, this is what it would look like. In the back, you get up to 30.5 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row. Fold all the seats flat for up to 60.7 cubic feet. Can you sleep in it? Well, yes you can. The floor is flat and there is enough room. If you need more room, the larger 3-row Audi Q7 should be on your radar. Back here you also get a space-saving spare under the floor. Now let's check out this second row. See what we got here. Oh, I can slide the seat, which is nice. We got lots of leg room here. I am 6'1", legs torso proportionate. I got a lot of room, especially for my legs. However, my torso, it is a little snug. So if you have a long torso, you'll have trouble fitting back here. Little lights, which is kind of nice. Other amenities back here are, of course, heated seats. I also get my own climate controls with vents. I get a fold-down armrest with cup holders. That's a nice touch. And because this is a Prestige, I even get a powered window screen. How cool is that? Funny thing also, there's ashtrays back here. I don't remember the last time I saw an ashtray in a car. Crazy. Okay, yeah, up front it feels very much like an Audi. This is their standard design scheme, and it doesn't really look that much different than last year's model. There's just some changes here in the materials and the color choices, and they've also updated the head unit. Now we do get lots of screens here, of course. I have a digital gauge cluster that has lots of view options, very nice. I get the MMI screen over here, which is your primary screen for doing stuff. And then below that, I get a secondary screen that can be used for climate control and some other functions. And then of course, because this is a Prestige, I also get a heads-up display. And I can turn that off and on very easily with a button right down here, which is nice. Now it is kind of cool. The screens here have a haptic interface. That is, I get feedback to my fingers as I'm clicking on things. It makes it feel like it's a physical button. The downside with that is you have to push kind of hard for a screen. You can't just like tap it. You need to really commit. But once you get used to it, it's not so bad. There's a lot going on here, so I'm only going to touch the surface. But you can do things like, obviously there's maps, navigation, you can use voice commands. They've also integrated Alexa into the new version. Find the nearest coffee shop.
You can now choose a line number or provide additional search terms.
There is a vehicle data screen, which gives me an inclinometer. I like to see that. There's Audi Drive Select, which I can shortcut down here with the Drive Select buttons, or I could do it up in the menu up here. And that lets me pick between dynamic, auto, comfort, all-road, and off-road. Of course, this is equipped with the air suspension, so it will go up and down as necessary to raise the ground clearance all the way up to 10 inches at the maximum, which is pretty cool. We'll play with that a little bit later. Going in reverse, we do get a surround view camera system, and it actually like tilts the camera depending on which way you're pointing, which is kind of neat. There's also a 3D view. Funny thing, this 3D view is actually the old model. It doesn't even look like the current car. So I guess they saved a few bucks there. It's so weird. Anyway, let's go back into park there. This transmission controller, it's not bad. I like the shape of it, but like the screen, you really have to commit. A hard push forward will put you into reverse, whereas a light tap forward would put you from drive, it would put you into neutral. So again, just takes a little bit of getting used to. There are some extra features in this vehicle that you used to have to pay extra money for. They are now standard. I think my favorite one that they've added is the adaptive cruise control. Frankly, that should just be standard on all vehicles at this point, in my opinion. Audi, I'm glad to see they've done that here. Actually, I'm also just noticing every picture of this car looks like kind of a cartoon version of the old last year's model. They didn't update any of these 3D models. That's really kind of weird, guys. It's like, come on, what are you doing? Now this vehicle does have the infrared camera system, which is kind of cool. It helps you see objects at night. I have actually had this save me from potentially hitting somebody at night who was wearing all black, nothing reflective. They were crossing the street in the middle of nowhere. Didn't see them until I saw it on an infrared display system. Now that was actually on the Cadillac, not on this one, but I haven't driven this one enough, and nobody's thrown themselves in front of me since I've been driving this car. So, but that's a feature that you pay extra for. It seems a little silly, but when it works, it really works. So that's kind of a nice thing. The seats here are super comfortable. This has the upgraded leather interior, and it just feels amazing. It is ventilated, it is heated, and it also comes with massage. I just hit a button down here, and I can switch up my massage options, which is really nice. Also, something you just don't see very often, you can adjust the temperature balance in the seat so that you are, let's go up to that screen again, so that you have, like, you can put all the heat to the top part. Can I do cooling to the bottom part? No, it's just heating or cooling, but you can adjust whether it's top or bottom oriented, and a number of degrees in the middle, which is kind of cool. Not sure I'll ever use that, but you know, if you're picky, this is probably really nice. Now this does have the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system, and yes, it is amazing. No, there is no way to replicate the sound through this YouTube video. If you get an opportunity, go down to a dealer, sit in a car, put on some tunes, experience it for yourself. Okay, we also have, of course, cup holders. We get a little 12-volt socket there. We have a wireless charging pad in here. That was an option. A couple more USB-C sockets. And I think that's basically it. Oh yeah, paddle shifters, nice steering wheel, very thin. And of course, we have blind spot warning. Okay, those are all the basic features. Time to take this for a drive and see what does $100,000 feel like on the road. Okay, so here we are in the Audi Q8. Now, as far as crossovers go, this one is pretty sporty. The horsepower, the torque, you can feel it. This does not feel like a slow crossover at all. This thing is sporty. Now, on the inside here, I really like this cabin. The materials are, of course, fantastic. All the screens are very high quality. Yeah, nothing to really complain about. I think my only real complaint is just that you got to really push things hard to get them to register, but that's kind of a minor complaint. I even like all the different display views that I get up here on the gauge cluster, everything from a full map mode to getting a tack and some other stuff going on there too. Just overall, really nice cabin to be in. But is it a $100,000 cabin? I mean, what else can you get for $100,000? Well, there's obviously the BMW 7 Series. We tested one of those recently. That was about $100,000. And that had a lot of interesting tech going on. It definitely felt like it was, it was money, and it felt like it was money. But then you also have on the flip side the Jeep Wrangler Final Call Edition with the 392 engine. That one's $105,000. So, what makes a $100,000 vehicle in 2024? It's kind of all over the board. Now, in terms of, daily drivability, I really like this Q8, mostly for its flexibility. Because on one hand, this transmission, this engine, it's really smooth, it's quick, it's fun to drive. Plus you have the air suspension, so you have the varying ride height. Plus it'll also just, it does a good job of soaking up the corners. And then you also, of course, have, a big trunk area because it's a crossover. So if you kind of need something that does everything, the Q8 here is kind of a vehicle that can do that. Now, granted, this isn't like some monster off-roader. It's not even close. But if you're just going to go on a light trail or something like that, I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll put it to the test in just a little bit. But first, let's focus on the streetability stuff. So you got different drive modes, of course. Toggle them down here, and we got all-road, comfort, dynamic. So right now we're in dynamic, and this is the sportiest setting. The suspension is its firmest, the steering wheel is the tightest, and the throttle is the most aggressive. And it's pretty good. I actually really enjoy this. Let's cut through some corners here. And of course, you also have the Quattro all-wheel drive to keep the vehicle pointing in the right direction. And this can vector torque not just front to back, but also side to side to help with handling. Now, other modes, we of course have comfort, to smooth things out a little bit, makes the steering wheel a little bit softer, suspension a little bit softer. One thing about the dynamic modes on this particular vehicle is they're not extreme. We're talking subtle differences in the way they're all set up. So, they're not massive. So if you're looking for a drive mode to really transform the vehicle, yeah, the drive modes here don't really do that. But they do give subtle shifts in the way that the vehicle handles, so you can set it up for your preferences, which is nice. One thing I don't love about this car is the constant need to go into the MMI system, the digital display here. It's like earlier when it was colder out, it told me that my tire pressures were low on one tire. And instead of just telling me what those tire pressures were up on the main screen, it said go into the MMI. Well, I didn't know exactly where those were in the MMI. It wasn't hard to find out, but I had to go in, I had to click in, I had to go like 4 menu items in just to find out what the tire pressures were. Why didn't it just tell me what the tire pressures were? Little things like that. The system just sometimes has too many layers to get to where you want to go. But that seems to be true with so many car makers these days. I really wish that they would get some good UI designers in here to really not just add features, but also think about how those features are going to be implemented with the least amount of clicks. That would be nice. In terms of safety, one thing that I do like about this vehicle is you can quickly toggle between different levels of safety. I just hit a button down here, a little vehicle with circle around it, and I can go from basic to maximum to my own individual preferences. And in here I can set up night vision assist, distance warning, side assist, emergency assist, exit warning, and I can have different features enabled or disabled depending on how I'm driving, which is kind of nice. Right now I'm going to turn it on to maximum driver assistance. This of course comes standard with adaptive cruise control. It's pretty easy to use. You just use the little controller stock like usual, and you can toggle between a couple different modes. Right now I'm going to go ahead and set the distance. It'll then now target the vehicle in front of me and make sure that I don't overcome them. There's no vehicle in front right now, so no big deal. Let's go ahead and increase that speed. Boop. There we go. Now this has lane detection, but it's not a lane centering system. So it's not terribly fancy, but it gets the job done. Of course, I also get blind spot warning and collision mitigation as well. That's all standard on the Q8 now. Now let's try a 0 to 60. Now there's no launch control on this vehicle, so all we can really do is go to dynamic mode on the drive mode. I am going to preload with the brake a little bit and drop it. Oh, that's some power. And 60 in 5.49 seconds. So it's less than the 5.5 seconds that Audi claims for this vehicle, just by a little bit. Here we go. Now let's go ahead and raise the ride height a little bit. We'll go to all-road mode, which is just one step down from off-road. Of course, we're on 22-inch wheels here with all-season tires, but it should be fine. We're just going to do the easy trail today and see what this vehicle can do. And of course, we do the easy trail not just because we assume people are going to take these things off-roading. Of course, they're not going to, but it does help show how the vehicle deals with difficult conditions. So what we learn can also be applied to snow, for example, or if you're just going down a dirty road or you're trying to go to a trailhead. All these things apply. Okay, so the trail we're going to go up is actually a pretty simple one, but there's going to be a lot of left to right action. What we're going to look for is wheel braking, shifting power left to right as we go over these complicated things. Because when a wheel is in the air, its natural tendency with open differentials is to just spin the wheel. Now this is using Audi's Quattro system, which is good at vectoring torque. So let's see how well it does. Now I'm going to go ahead and start this off by going into drive mode off-road. That will not only enhance the off-road capabilities, it'll also raise the vehicle up, which gives us a maximum of 10 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty awesome. Okay, let's do this. So first bit, we're going to be doing the climb here. And now we're going to take traction off the driver front, passenger rear. I can hear wheel braking kicking in, just keeping a steady throttle, and the Q8 is doing the work for me. Very nice. I'm going to see how much we can lift that rear wheel as we go into the ditch. Now we're going to dip into the hole. Oh, I can feel, turn those alerts off. I can feel wheel braking kicking in even as I was going down into the hole because of a hill descent control system that automatically kicks in. We're probably lifting up that rear passenger wheel. Ideal articulation would actually put that wheel all the way down on the ground, but these unibody crossovers, yeah, they're not going to do that. Okay. Climb out. Got to wheel up probably here. Kick some power around. Up we go. Very nice. Now we're going to dip into another hole. And then once we get out of this, we're going to lift the passenger rear and driver side front as we try to climb out. And I'm just going to go slow because I want the vehicle to do all the work. I don't want to just use momentum. Adding easy throttle. Oh yeah. Getting through it, no problem. You know, the wheel braking system in this vehicle is actually excellent. I'm having no issues here, which is nice. Okay, now we're gonna go over the ledge. If we don't scrape, we can move on to the logs. Oh yeah, no problem. Cool. So for the logs here, I'm going to use the front camera to try to navigate over the ideal line. And I love how when you turn the wheel, it's like the camera moves with the wheels. You don't just get the driving lines, it's like the camera actually is panning in front, which is pretty cool actually. Let's see, is it useful though? Get the line here. Oh yeah, actually that's really nice. Line right up there. Okay. Shouldn't hear any grinding. I mean, with 10 inches of ground clearance, that's more than plenty. Put the wheel right on top of the rock on the left. Yep. The crawl ratio isn't the best, but considering this is just a standard transmission, I think it's actually doing really well. Up over the last one. Yeah, no rubbing and no problem. Nice. So not only did this car just easily get through those courses, it didn't give me any errors. Like even the air suspension did not have any issues, which is sad to say, kind of unusual. Nice. Oh, so that's the 2024 Audi Q8. If you're looking for a crossover that is just very good in everything that it does, this is great, especially with the Prestige package, because it gets you that air suspension that's not only good for off-road, it's also good for towing because it'll help balance out the back. What else is there to say? I mean, it's comfortable, the tech works great, the sound system is amazing. I mean, really, if you're looking for a vehicle that does it all, yet doesn't shout to the world, I'm ridiculous, the Audi Q8 is great. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you. I hope you enjoy them, and hope to see you again real soon right here on our next review.